How should Africa address its migration headaches? This is one of the questions delegates of the African Peer Review Mechanism meeting in Egypt is grappling with. Thousands die each year trying to reach Europe, fleeing poverty or conflict. Kailihle Khumalo reports from the resort town of Sharm el-Sheikh.
By now, it's a well-known story. Men and women crossing the Mediterranean Sea, leaving Africa in search of a better life in Europe. Many never reaching their destinations. So now the delegates here are trying to find ways to deal with one of the hot potatoes in Africa, migration.
We cannot stop migration. What we seek to achieve is to make sure that that migration is safe, that migration is regulated to the benefit of both the migrant and the areas to countries to which the destinations to which they migrate. Now, in the case of Africa, we have a concern because the migration you have in North Africa arises out of economic destitution.
That's a reality delegates meeting here have to face. How to ensure migration benefits host nations.
We need to backtrack a little bit, and we need to approach this question of, in the media we see a lot of people crossing the Mediterranean Sea, but data shows that there's actually a lot of people moving in and around the continent. So actually the conversations we need to be having is both people fleeing the continent and also how do we do to manage the refugee crisis in Africa.
At the heart of this dialogue is the African Peer Review Mechanism, a continental forum set up to gauge each country's performance in improving African lives.
So it's a very complicated thing, but I think we need education to know why do people migrate, and therefore people who come into the country.
But will this just be another talk shop? Delegates are adamant whatever decisions are taken here will go a long way in tackling a number of socio-economic issues facing Africa. Kailihle Khumalo, Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt.
An American tourist and her driver have been rescued unharmed after being kidnapped in a national park in southwestern Uganda last week. Authorities are still on the hunt for the perpetrators.
This is American tourist Kimberly Sue Endicott being safely escorted off a police helicopter in Kampala. The 35-year-old was rescued unharmed by Ugandan authorities after she and her driver were abducted by gunmen in the Queen Elizabeth National Park last week while on safari. The popular wildlife park is one of the most visited in the country by tourists.
The victim who had been held captive together with her safari guide, Jean-Paul Mirenge, were released because, first of all, of the implicit threat of the use of force after the armed captors knew they were being hotly pursued by the joint team of security agencies.
Police say the operation near the border with the Democratic Republic of Congo is still ongoing. The kidnapper's identity is unclear, but the area was once roamed by rebel fighters who are still believed to have camps in eastern Congo.
The operation to arrest the culprits is ongoing with the close coordination of our counterparts from the DRC, whom we've been working with for the last 5 days. And we also want to reassure all our citizens and visitors that their safety and security is our #1 priority.
Abductions and similar attacks on tourists are rare in Uganda.
Let's look at the trending stories on social media across the continent. Africa's richest man caused the stir on social media after he disclosed that he once withdrew $10 million just to stare at it. Speaking at the Ibrahim Governance Week, Aliko Dangote said this was to convince himself of his wealth. This left many stunned, with some claiming to be related to the billionaire. A suspected rhino poacher was trampled by elephants and then eaten by lions at the South African Nature Reserve. Social media users felt more pity for the animals, saying justice was served. Only the suspect's skull and pants were found. And celebrations are underway on social media after Ghanaian-born Kofi Kingston took the title of WWE World Champion. Born Kofi Naeje Sagodi Mensah, Kingston is the first African to win the sought-after title. That was this week's edition of #Africa. Until next time, take care. Goodbye.